Hey there, Michael Kuhlman here. It's a rainy day here in Altamont Springs, Florida. Um, Thanks for clicking on the video. The clip you're about to watch is part of actually like an hour and 40 long minute video that I kind of put together where I reviewed a bunch of other books and authors, the books off my shelf. So if you're interested in this clip, check out that larger video. Thank you for clicking on the video. Alright, got V for Vendetta out there. Let's do some Chuck Palahniuk. So, Fight Club, good book, solid book. Movie's better. Pretty sure the author agrees with that too. Book is worth reading. A little bit of a slog through, but if you've never read Chuck Palahniuk, I think I'm saying that correctly. He's a crazy writer. I mean, he's like a really freaky short story writer that when he writes full-length novels, it feels like he's really good at concepts, really good at kind of in the short term, what would be really cool. So the one line would be, what if a guy, you all have seen this movie too, what if a guy shows up to, it's like starts a fight club and loves getting beaten up, and he's kind of a rebel of society. And so it's just interesting. It ends in a different way, and that's almost worth reading just by its own. And there's cool lines. They hit you differently than they do the movie. I love the movie delivery because Edward Norton with the narration, the voiceover, it's like that really sells it for me. And then having Brad Pitt as like the alter ego, man, that was just like the best dynamic on screen. But the way they play out, they're different characters slightly in the book, and it's phenomenal. I don't want to say phenomenal. It was a good book. It wasn't. Other books I've already showed you I've enjoyed better, but I'd recommend it. We'll do Choke. So I liked Choke better, also by Chuck Palahniuk. Choke, I read this years ago. I must have been 16, 17 when I read it, and I'm 27 now, so that's 10 years ago. Choke was really good. It's about a guy. They made a movie about this, but the movie wasn't that great. I mean, it was okay. I liked it. Book is better than that movie. It's about a guy who shows up to restaurants, and let's see, he's a medical school dropout, and he's an anti-hero for our deranged times. He has a scam. He pretends to choke on pieces of food while dining in upscale restaurants. He then allows himself to be saved by fellow patrons, and then these patrons feel responsible for his life, and they go on to send him checks and cards and letters, and he feeds off of that energy. And then this is really interesting. He's a like super sex addict, and so there's like a lot of instances where he describes his sex addiction, and I'm telling you, like, there's no way that the author wrote this if he didn't have that like some sort of affliction himself, because there's man, it's just too detailed. Like, unless he's just got a crazy mind, which probably is the case as well, there's like a real insight into a freak's mind. So I love it. Choke was great. There's one book that's even better, Survivor. I don't think I have that one here. I believe it's called Survivor by Chuck Palahniuk. It's about a guy who like joins a crazy cult and hijacks an airplane, and the whole book, like half the chapters are him in the airplane, which is really interesting, like taking people hostage and just rethinking his life. And the other half tells his life story, and so that was a good novel. I'm gonna go back a little bit and talk about another Chuck Palahniuk, and this one's called Damned. Great artwork by Chuck Palahniuk. It's the Fight Club author. This is about a 13-year-old girl who commits suicide, and she goes to hell, and she has to travel through hell. And it's gross, it's disgusting, it's shocking, and it's really good, and it's really interesting. I actually read this with my girlfriend. I have not finished it. Full disclosure, I I shouldn't even talk about it because I haven't finished it. But so far, I kind of get the gist of it. And with Chuck Palahniuk, you don't even need to read to the end because, like I said, he hones in on that concept, and you're gonna keep hitting that concept. Every chapter is just hitting on that concept. So even if I get to the end, it's not like the end is gonna be anything crazy or different. But there's a follow-up to this called, let's see, Damned, and then it's gonna be called something Doomed. I believe it's Doomed. It's written in 2011. Life is short, death is forever. Would recommend this if you like shocking, gross hell stuff, which I always like. I think it's fun. It's grimy, it's nasty, it's gory, it's Madison is a 13-year-old daughter of a narcissistic film star and billionaire. Abandoned at her Swiss boarding school for Christmas, she dies over the holiday, presumably of a marijuana overdose. So yeah, I was totally just not taking it seriously. Like, you can't die from a marijuana overdose, but the girl doesn't know that, and so she takes it, and she describes it, and she thinks she died from a marijuana overdose. So she goes through hell telling everybody that. She's kind of naive, but kind of a punk, and she's clever, and yeah, great book.